Billy Joe paring knife does fowl dismemberment for turkey soup. William Hovey Smith, 2016. I am the author of Backyard Deer Hunting and also the owner of a new company, Hovey's Knives of China, where we take knives of ancient patterns and make modern cooking utensils from them. We also have the Billy Joe Rubideoux line, where we make knives out of salvaged pieces of steel, such as this very much rusted lawn tiller point.
This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman. And in this episode, we are going to have fowl dismemberment. Yeah, this fellow. It is the day after I had just had a holiday meal here, in which we had about a dozen people. We had turkey and wild hog and venison, and all told about a dozen different dishes. And now it's time to do something with a turkey. I am, as always, one guy, so I cannot eat all these leftover stuff. But I'm not going to waste it either. So, although this was a holiday meal, this was neither Thanksgiving nor Christmas, but actually in between, during the first few days of December. So what I'm going to do is remove the breast, leg, and thigh from this carcass, freeze those separately, and then take the carcass and actually make a turkey soup and use some of the leftover rice, celery, onions, etc., from my Christmas meal, as well as some dressing, and have that fill out the soup and freeze that. So that's what we're going to be about. Now this is what the other side of the bird looks like. And what we did was we used our long handle slicer to cut nice thin slices from the breast. And it did that very, very well. But now, we want to freeze in as big a masses as we can get. And the reason you don't slice it up in pretty slices, if you're going to keep it for days or weeks or maybe months, is that the more surface that you have to oxidize, the more meat will, well, obviously oxidize and be spoiled. Not rotten, but just dried out and discolored, and you really wouldn't want to eat it. So we're going to try to remove this breast and keep the skin on, keep the skin intact, as well as do the same here with the legs and thigh. Use our paring knife and get this connector piece out of the way. Tough stuff, that. Okay. Now, the skin is already separated here, so this is a very natural cut. As a matter of fact, you don't feel anything underneath. Okay, keep on going. Pull a little bit. Push. The join here becomes obvious. And this meat is so soft, so well cooked, that the whole thing just pulls away as a mass. So that's ready. I'm going to put that in a plastic bag. Yay. Squeeze all the air out of it. Put this on one side for future and further wrapping. Now we have the breast well exposed. I can remove that. The sternum is this prominent bone right here, and you want to cut as close to the sternum as you can get. You're going to run into the wishbone down here. You'll be able to peel back into the rib cage. And then we have the breast and a nice firm piece of meat. We have our turkey leg and our turkey breast nicely double wrapped, sealed, ready to go in the freezer, and that's where it's going right now. And the carcass sitting here in front of me, looking sort of halfway stripped. Now I'm going to take my paring knife here and work alongside the sternum as I did the last time. And there was a little vestige of meat here left. So we're going to remove that. We're going to work around it, cut that. This, being a domestic bird, has its breast shaped a little differently, well, quite a bit differently, from the wild bird. The wild bird does not have near so much meat on it, although it is tastier, by the way. So we go in alongside the breast and cut along the bone, and there is a depression here, and that contains a good hunk of meat right there, which we are working out, as you see. And this usually does not get carved with the Christmas turkey because it's sort of half underneath the bird and it's inconvenient to get at. Plus, this piece has been resting in the turkey fat. So it usually has a double load of fat up compared to others. There are also depressions on the back of the carcass here, which contain another good hunk of meat that's also quite rich and does good in soups. In fact, it's best in soups rather than any other use I can think of it, because it will generate a fair amount of fat. We now have the larger pieces of meat stripped off the carcass and cut up into smaller pieces, and the celery that was on the inside of the bird also diced up smaller, and the carcass itself broken into fragments like here and here. Now this we're going to put in the pressure cooker and let cook, and then we'll reconstitute this along with the other components in our turkey soup. At this stage we have our carcass boiled. We have recovered some components from our Christmas dinner that we're going to start with the soup. Now the first thing are these butter peas. This was a small package I had left over, so that can go in first. And this is actually the only uncooked material we'll be adding outside of the seasonings. Everything else here has been pre-cooked. Then we have rice, obviously. And this is some crumbled dressing. Now this is dressing rather than stuffing, although you could use either. And that goes in. And stirring to allow some of the flavors to mix a little bit, because we're going to be doing some tasting here in a little bit to see about where the salt level is. That's hard to say because all we've added except the butter beans have already been pre-salted and pre-seasoned, so it's easy to get this too salty, and you don't want that to happen. Now we have this formidable pile to do with, and these are the bones, and a lot of the meat has actually been cooked off the bones, and this is also the skin, which we're not going to put back into the soup. Nothing left there. Nothing left there. Okay, let's see what we got here. We do have a little bit of meat that's coming off right here next to the bone. A couple of clumps on the underside. There, here. Okay, bone. bone. Now the back, bone here, a little strip of meat, a few scrapings. You don't want to put the ribs in or they'll just give eaters a problem. The bone, the meat is just, with the point of this paring knife, is just pulling off between the ribs just fine. A little bit of breast meat there. Okay, that can go. Doing this gives you a good sort of picture for fowl anatomy there. Yep. That's what a turkey back looks like. So this gives us a few pieces of meat here that were still stuck to the carcass, and separate the skin. Add that to the pot. Then we have this meat that we have separated before that's been in the refrigerator in the meantime. And we're working on a pot of very rich, meaty soup here. See how it looks. Looking good. It's a little thin for my liking. So I'm going to add another package of dressing and another package of rice. We now have a pot that's almost brimming full. And I did add an additional package of rice to that, about the same size as before. And I've tasted it, and it needs salt. So I'm going to add about a tablespoon of salt here. And it also needs pepper. I like my soup a little salty and a little peppery, but not overbearing. We'll do that to start with and let it sit on the stove and cook down for a while until it gets to the consistency that I like. But I believe we're starting to fairly well get there. Well, how did we do with our turkey soup? Well, we did just fine. And it looks like a good, thick soup, and is. We got the taste profile just about right. Smells like it might need a little more salt. A little salt and a touch of pepper, and we got it. But now, this is Hovey Smith, reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe. Goodbye, God bless, and see you next time.
This is our company banner showing some of our knives resting upon it, and also more of our knives for a better look, and even more of our knives, and we have more designs than this. I am the author of Backyard Deer Hunting, and we talk about knives in all of our books, including extreme muzzleloading, crossbow hunting, and practical bow fishing. I have YouTube videos on hunting, cleaning, and cooking wild turkey, geese, and swan for holiday meals, and even a 4-video set on cooking a traditional Southern Christmas dinner if you'd like to know exactly how I did it. For more information on Hovey's Knives of China, you can go to the website below. For more information on my books, blogs, and more than 575 videos, you can go to my website, www.hoveysmith.com. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye. and God bless.